Welcome to Front Office Pros. Today, we're going to be going through our Week 4 must-add waiver wire pickups. Per usual, we're going to go through 5 players that have caught our eye that we would tell you to prioritize in your waiver wire pickups. Joe, start us off with the first one.
Our first player is going to be running back Trey Benson of the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, you heard the news by now that James Conner went down in this game. He needs ankle surgery. He's going to miss the rest of the season. And this obviously creates a huge opportunity for Trey Benson, who honestly had been looking pretty good in his limited opportunities the first couple of weeks of the season here. Was looking like that explosive player. But obviously, Conner in the way, it was hard to be able to rely on Trey Benson. But, now the opportunity's in front of him. He had 10 carries in this game, 42 yards, also had 3 receptions, 9 yards. Not great, but he did have some decent plays. Just with the expected volume increase, I think he's definitely a guy you got to go ahead and add. Obviously, even more so if you had James Conner, you're going to want to go ahead and get this guy. So, this is one of the players, I think, in terms of like FAAB percentage, you're probably going to have to be pretty aggressive with him, probably somewhere around, 15, 20% possibly. Because I mean, the James Conner owner in your league could be even more aggressive and go ahead and get him. But he is also currently rostered in 54.8% of ESPN leagues here.
Yeah, 59% rostered in sleeper leagues. I think you're a little bit low on that. I think you're going to probably have to drop around 40% to get him. You're talking about a starting caliber running back. I'm trying to remember who's third on the depth chart there. But I think
it looked like DeMarcado was getting some opportunities after him.
Okay, DeMarcado. And DeMarcado does get involved. So, I mean, I think, people may be mistaken that Benson just is going to, take the workload. But, Jonathan Gannon has said even at the beginning of the season that he said he had 2 starting running backs with Conner and Trey Benson. I think this is the real opportunity for Benson to take the step forward and really prove to the world whether or not he's capable of being that guy. The Cardinals' offense is not all that great. They rely quite heavily on the run. So to me, I think he's going to get volume. So I wouldn't blame you if you want to, especially at running back, being, as, all the injuries that happen, it's very unpredictable. So getting a guy like Benson, even to have on your bench, even if you have a good one, you never know when your running back's going to go down. So I think you're going to have to spend a lot for him.
Yeah, if you really do got to spend that much for him, I don't think I want to do that. I don't know. I don't know if he'll actually be the return there. I mean, coming up just the first couple of weeks, I know it's more of a long season play, but even those first couple of weeks, he's got Seattle and Tennessee with some good defensive lines. And just I don't know how much faith I have in this Arizona Cardinals offense at the moment. Just kind of, just looks kind of out of sorts.
So next guy we're going to be talking about here is wide receiver Christian Kirk of the Houston Texans. When it comes to Kirk, this is his season debut with the Texans, and I was encouraged that he had 8 targets this game. I know he only had 3 catches for 25 yards. So you would say, well, why would I want this guy? But there's a lot of bye weeks coming up. So I think having a guy like Kirk could be very helpful just as a bye week fill-in. But the other thing that's interesting about the Texans offense is that we were expecting, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, the Iowa State receivers that they drafted. I think a lot of people were expecting them to be a big part of the offense, but they just haven't been. The Texans really haven't trusted them to date here. With the snap percentages that we have. Jaden Higgins had 43% of the snaps his first 2 games, and Jalen Noel had 31 and 27. So the Texans don't really, at this point, trust the rookies yet. Maybe they will eventually, but could in essence be somewhat of a redshirt year for these guys if they're not going to be as productive as what we expected. So this is one of those situations, and one of them I'm learning the hard way. Sometimes the veteran that isn't as flashy as the rookie ends up being the guy who's going to pay off in the end and be productive. And I think this might be one of those cases, a guy who's been a very reliable player in the league in his time in Jacksonville and even in Arizona. And I think you're going to need something with this offense. The Texans offense, I think, is struggling quite mightily right now. I think they're going to need someone like Kirk to be able to provide that, down the field option, because he's had the ability to be able to stretch the field, but I think he also can play in the slot as well, more of a shifty type player. So I think that Christian Kirk is an intriguing ad. I think 5% FAAB makes sense.
Yeah, he could be, an intriguing ad. I don't know how excited I am to go ahead and add Christian Kirk, but you're not wrong. The opportunity is there for him. Jaden Higgins is a guy I thought was going to be a lot more heavily utilized in this offense, more so in that wide receiver 2 role. I was excited by him. I was nervous about the utilization of a guy like Jalen Noel, but we saw it last year with Stephon Diggs operating out of the slot last year for the Texans, did really well. And even when Diggs and Dell were on the field last year, Diggs was the guy. So Christian Kirk in his first game back, maybe this is more opportunities and signs to come. Just the Texans offense just is really lacking an identity right now. They just run game is hit or miss right now. CJ Stroud just isn't looking that great. Nico Collins obviously was wide open, created that long touchdown, but he's really the field stretcher as well. But I think Kirk could help in that slot and just kind of be that reliable guy over the middle and keep the chains moving, in addition to I feel like that's the role Dalton Schultz has right now.
I think they need somebody like Kirk right now because they need something to spice up that offense. That offense is in trouble.
Yeah, it is. Their offensive line definitely doesn't look good, which is something that, they didn't like how that ended up last year and was trying to upgrade that by getting rid of one of the, better left tackles in Tunsil, but nor here nor there. Maybe they'll figure things out later in the year and turn things around. So our next player is going to be wide receiver Tory Horton of the Seattle Seahawks.
Horton who?
Yeah, Horton. Here's a who here with Tory. He's got 4 targets back-to-back games. He's scored a touchdown in back-to-back games. Both times last 2 weeks. He's got against Pittsburgh week 2. He had 2 for 32. This week against the Saints, 3 for 32. But this game was also a game where they didn't necessarily need to throw the ball around. Seattle absolutely got up early in this game, just trounced, the New Orleans Saints, as most people thought at home. And right now, Horton is 1.1% rostered in ESPN leagues, and maybe this isn't a guy that you look to start in the immediate future, but I think he's a guy that you need to stash on your bench as he is getting more looks. Outside of JSN, they need somebody to be that wide receiver too. I don't think it could be Cooper Kupp, and I really think Horton could really step up, be the wide receiver too there. Then not to mention, if you get returner stats, this guy just adds a bonus. He had a punt return for a touchdown. He looks really good in the return game on top of his receiving ability as well. So I think this is a nice speculative ad. You could go somewhere 2 to 5%. Just add this guy to your bench here.
Yeah, this guy's more your guy, Joe, but you typically have been having one up on me, so I'm going to let the audience trust your instincts here on this one because this would not be a guy I'm looking at. But I don't think you would have looked at Christian Kirk, so a vice versa.
We got to balance each other out. Yeah, Christian Kirk wasn't necessarily a guy I was excited about, but that's the thing. I let those people chase the Trey Tucker performance this week. Let them go blow their FAAB on him and chase that 3 touchdown performance that he had, and take a guy like Tory Horton. Just like I wasn't high on Troy Franklin after that performance last week. I know you wanted to recommend to chase that game. But I told you, Broncos and Sean Payton, you just can't trust him. He schemed things up in that one game, but it could easily just go away and go to somebody else. And that's what happened for Trey Tucker this week as well.
So next time we're going to be talking about is a familiar name that we talked about to all of you before, and I guess some of you didn't listen. So we got to do this guy again. And that's going to be tight end Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. Joe, in a tight end landscape that is so rocky as it is, Henry had a statement game. 11 targets, 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's rostered in 41% of leagues. I don't understand it. Tight end is such a, it's just throw a dart in the dartboard and hope you hit the bullseye. Right? Yeah. So it's like having a guy like Henry, a young quarterback, his best friend is a tight end. And honestly, Stephon Diggs still recovering from that ACL. He hasn't been nearly as involved. There really hasn't, but Henry's been that guy. There really hasn't been. I mean, I know Butte has shown some flashes, but there's not really been like alpha receiver to root for Drake May to really focus on. So I mean, Henry to me, he's a top 12 tight end all day long the rest of the year. And if you're in a 12-team league, I don't know why you're not starting this guy week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, we said it last week, but this week especially, I mean, this guy needs to be more rostered than under 50%. I mean, that's just crazy. Like, he showed it last year. He had a good year. And like you said, Drake May is going to him. I think part of the problem is not necessarily that Drake May doesn't have a number one option. I think, like they mentioned on the broadcast time and time again, Drake May is like a guy that likes to spread the ball around. And I think that's just what he's doing. He gets a lot of players involved. But one of the consistent guys that he's been honing in on, and when he needs to have it, I mean, he's been focusing on Hunter Henry and relying on, that veteran guy to be in the middle of the field. I feel like he just knows exactly where Henry's going to be and trust him that he's going to go ahead and make a play. So this guy absolutely needs to be on the roster. And by next week, we can't be talking about him again and him being so low in terms of roster percentage here moving forward.
We almost didn't even bring him up, but it's like I feel like we had to. I mean, we already talked about him after week 1, but it's like you got to get this guy.
Yeah, I mean, multiple touchdowns in this game. In the fact that after last week saying tight ends were getting injured, people needed them, and he still wasn't getting taken advantage of. All right, so our last player is going to be another Joe special here, and that's going to be wide receiver Luther Burden of the Chicago Bears. And look, I know people might, again, you look at the numbers, utilization. He's had 3 targets heading into this week. He had 3 targets in this game, but he was 3 for 101 and a touchdown. I get it. The one play was a really long touchdown, really nice play. But Luther Burden, just a really talented wide receiver. He's got that big play ability. They even gave him a carry in this game as well. And rookies can take a little bit to break in, to the NFL. Feel like Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams needed a little bit of time. And if Ben Johnson gets more creative, I mean, there's no reason Luther Burden can't become that like Jameson Williams type of guy in the Chicago Bears offense. DJ Moore is not as involved as a lot of people thought. It's been a lot of Odunze. Loveland had some nice plays. Cole Kmet's getting in there. But for those big explosive plays, I really feel like they're going to rely on Luther Burden. And again, this isn't necessarily a immediate play that you go ahead and pick up Luther Burden. It's, more so add. And then, as rookies turn it on, this guy could be a potential league winner down the stretch here. Only rostered in 9% of ESPN leagues. So again, probably don't have to go crazy for Burden. People might just write him off because he just had that one big play for the long touchdown. So probably 2 to 5%. But I think you go ahead and add this guy and get him on your bench now.
My biggest question with him, I don't disagree with you on the talent. I just worry about what's the volume look like. He will have to rely, I think, a lot on big play ability, which he obviously showed that he's capable of. I wondered if the Bears season kind of goes rocky. I'd have to look at the contract, but I feel like DJ Moore is probably the one player who's maybe expendable. I feel like they would be actually possibly they could trade him. He's older and allow, Odunze and Burden to really kind of step forward. I could see that happening, but again, I don't know what his contract situation is. I think they could probably. I don't know if it's that prohibitive that they wouldn't be able to make a deal. For him, to trade him away at the deadline. I know they recently did an extension for him. I want to say it was last year, but that was before Ben Johnson was there.
Yeah, it was before Ben Johnson was there when they extended him last offseason when they were on Hard Knocks. But, the latest rumors on X, even after last week, was DJ Moore was already in the trade rumor mill. I guess people are calling him out for possibly some lack of effort during practices and whatnot. Not sure how much of that is true, but if he in fact does get traded, I mean, that only opens up the door for a guy like Luther Burden moving forward.
Yeah, I thought I heard the same thing, and they did seem to indicate that it was him. So that does it for this episode. We went through our Week 4 must-add waiver wire pickups. If you haven't done so already, check out our most recent episode. We talked about Dynasty salary cap contract leagues, and if you have Joe Burrow, what do you do with them? We talked about some dilemmas. We had a guest come on, and we looked at 4 contract teams and what you should do now that Joe Burrow is going to be out for 3 months. If you want to check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time.